All right. I think we have a microphone. Can you hear me? Let's see here. There we go. Is that better? I don't know. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. Buongiorno. How is everybody doing today? It's your boy, and I'm back. As most of you have undoubtedly heard, Seattle is going through a bit of an epidemic right now with coronavirus. And it's been pretty savage what's gone on out in Seattle so far. A lot of people are not sure what to believe. There's a lot of panic surrounding this. There's a lot of misinformation. I don't have all the right pieces, but I do know what is today's Monday, the 3rd, that since Saturday, I have been around 2 people that have been exposed to the coronavirus directly through where the fatalities have happened at Evergreen in Bellevue, which is a town just east of us. And excuse me, while I don't feel under the weather right now, it's pretty serious. It's pretty insane to think about. I have an immune deficiency problem already. I have since I was very little kid been diagnosed with what's called Epstein-Barr, and I have a pretty rare case of it. And generally what that means for guys like me is that whenever I catch a cold or I come down with the flu or something like that, it's like markedly worse than it would be for just the normal cold and flu virus. And I've been hospitalized on a number of occasions as a result from high fevers typically, but it's a situation where I can't take any risks. So I have officially quarantined myself at home. I will be working from home at least through the remainder of this week and probably into next week. So what I can do is cut up some footage and keep plugging some stuff on the channel and let you guys know how I'm feeling, how I'm doing on social media and things of that nature. I feel fine, but it's terrifying. Like it's super, super terrifying to realize, if I get sick, I got to go in right away, try and get tested. The problem is that with all the misinformation going on and the CDC hotline and all the stuff that's happened in Seattle with, Washington State declaring a state of emergency and things like that, you get redirected a lot. Go see a primary care physician, go see, go to the ER, go to this type of specialist, go do that type of thing. And there's not a whole lot of help. I've been following a few Twitter threads from local folks that are feeling sick, trying to leave the office, calling this hotline, all this stuff. And I covered this on the podcast a little bit last night. For those of you that don't know, I launched a podcast in January called Pathway to Being Average, and it's the number 2. If you want to check it out, we're everywhere now: iTunes, Google, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spotify, all those spots. So we covered this quite a bit at length last night. We shared with everyone what the Washington hotline was, how to get help if you need help, those kinds of things. But for me, I can't take any risks because generally when I just average get sick, it's pretty much lights out. I high fevers for days, a litany of problems that I probably won't go into at length. But the point is, I got to play it safe. I got to stay in. And I know one of the guys that works at Evergreen and I were hanging out, and this was before the news came out that that there were some deaths. I think that had happened later that night. And really, it, kind of wasn't cause for panic, but it definitely rattled my buddy enough to be like, my wife works there, my daughter's in school. Washington's closing down a bunch of schools right now. Grocery stores are being looted. Like there's a ton of shit that's kind of scary and chaotic. And then later I learned that there have been 6 deaths as a result. Now, most of the folks that are really, really ill or that have died are kind of centered around an elderly home up there, and that seems to be where it's taking hold the most. But it's pretty serious and it's pretty important, and it's something that, you know, for him, he can't ignore. He can't leave his daughter in school to kind of go through that shit. But just by nature of proxy, I was around him for a little while. It's kind of got me a little nervous. And then this morning, I had to go into work, and I had a meeting that I couldn't miss. And I go into work, and I'm there for a few hours. And the guy that works in the cubicle space in front of me received a phone call that his wife had a child at the school she works at that is a confirmed coronavirus case as well now. And I guess this kid is friends with his kid. And so he like pretty much packed up and immediately went home. He was just like, hey man, I'm sorry for coming in. This is super screwed up. You know, I was like, dude, go take care of the family. I'm going to head home too. You know, the shit that I came in for is concluded at this point. I can work the rest of my day from home and just be glued to a computer screen at home, you know? But I reached out to, you know, my leadership team, and I was like, hey, at this point, I'm just going to play it safe and stay home. I have supplies and snacks and food and, you know, all the stuff that I need to work from home for a while. So it's going to be a new adventure. I can honestly say, I am a little more nervous than I was last night. You know, we talked about it on the pod, and I said, you know, is that a scale of 6 or 7? It's probably an 8 or a 9. So I'm definitely going to try and avoid, you know, public gatherings. I'm going to avoid going into the office for a little while. I'm going to avoid friends and family and loved ones and all that stuff, just because, you know, the pattern of this virus seems to be that it like manifests later on, like not right away, or, you know, how a flu virus kind of crops up on you. Similar thing. You don't know that you're carrying the virus. And I'm at the point where I just got to be really sensitive to it. I usually run a little under the weather almost always as a result of not having a very strong immune system, but it's just not worth taking chances. So for me, I'm going to stay home. I'm going to keep podcasting on the regular schedule. I'll probably provide an update once we have some more information, but it just feels like every day there's some new wild shit that's going on in the news. And today I think we went to like 19 confirmed cases in the greater Seattle area for this coronavirus. And it's not anything I'm driven to panic for, but it's definitely something I personally can't fuck around with based on, you know, my own health concerns. So I'm going to try and go through some old footage and put some vlogs up to try and keep busy with downtime after, you know, office hours are closed for me. But yeah, we're under a state of emergency. I think that was signed Sunday. We now have 9 confirmed coronavirus deaths as of about a half an hour ago. And I'm going to take a look here. Hang on. So since yesterday, we went from 19 to 27 confirmed cases of the virus, and the death toll now stands at 9 in Washington. So it's a fucking weird, it's a weird time for all of us out here. And it's funny, I have a friend of mine that has the same Epstein-Barr syndrome that I do. Ours are triggered by variant different strains, but hey, Deb, mine usually comes on with the onset of a fever. It's Debbie. Hey, lady. But yeah, with a death toll at 9 and 27 confirmed cases of this virus at this point, like shit's getting super real. And I know that like Metro's trying to do the best they can, and they opened up this hotline, and there's like a whole bunch of stuff going on. But I've been around, like I said, 2 people that have had exposure to this virus for at least some period of time. I don't know if it's a significant one, but I'm just going to lock myself down. Um, you know, I'm going to stay on top of it and try and reach out for help if I need to, if I start to feel under the weather, or, I get sick to the point where I need to go in. But it's rattling. There's a whole lot of shit you see in the news and hear about that maybe misinformation or up to the minute information that conflicts with other stuff that you've heard. And I don't have all the answers. But being kind of in the epicenter of this has been very surreal, and I put out on the pod last night, like, try and be kind and helpful to one another, but like be safe and protect yourself, and try and, I'm washing my hands just thinking about it, that kind of stuff. But it's pretty novel stuff to keep yourself clear of viruses by disinfecting stuff, avoiding large crowds if you feel under the weather, those kinds of things. But I don't know, the sentiment around the workplace, some of the people that I've talked to, and, just generally speaking, has been borderline panic. You know what I mean? It's pretty insane. So like I said, I'm going to try and keep everyone as posted as I can on social media with my own personal health, because I usually do get sick pretty quick, and I don't want to take any chances. You know what I mean? But my best buddies are all kind of battening down the hatches and staying indoors. But 7 new cases announced, I think, since the onset of yesterday morning, according to, this is NPR that I'm reading on the other screen right now. But what they're going to do is they're going to start building modular housing for the homeless folks that are in South Downtown, which is where most of their encampment is right where I work. And there's not a lot of healthcare options for these people. So it's really, really good that, thanks, Deb. I'm trying. I'm really trying. I think it's good. What I don't want is to see our frontline healthcare workers, like one of them to 100 homeless folks that need help, because they're just not going to get the care that they need. But they're also moving, the epicenter essentially to South Downtown. And that's if things go from epidemic to pandemic. You know what I mean? It's getting pretty real. Like, I went to the grocery just on the way home, just to replenish regular stuff, I guess, yesterday. His shelves were empty. Shit was knocked over. You could tell the staff has had the longest day of their life. Everyone's getting a run on masks and disinfectant wipes and just a ton of shit. And I know a lot of that's hype and, folks being scared of stuff, but I don't think you could be overcautious. But to my earlier sentiment about what I talked about on the podcast, like, you do have to be mindful of other human beings around you, and you have to be cautious and helpful to those that need help. Otherwise, you're just inciting a riot and panic and chaos, and it's not helping anybody. So I don't know. I don't know what to do from here, other than I'm going to keep on keeping on. I'm taking the necessary precautions. I told everybody at work, this is not something I take lightly. It's not something I fuck around with, because, I've been very, very ill in the hospital as recent as last year for a common flu. And there's literally nothing that my body does about it. So I need medical help, generally speaking. This type of a thing is so much worse in virtually every way. So no chances, you know what I mean? But we put out a pretty dark podcast, I think, in terms of like just having a real take on it. And let's see, we got a comment coming in. You went to the store and there were no Purell or any masks. I believe it. Yeah. Our governor actually said, Deb, to that point, for the folks that were making a run on masks, not to like try and leave enough for the healthcare workers, which I think is kind of interesting, because people were buying them from, like, the grocery store. They're buying them from Home Depot and stuff, like the dust masks. It's not like medical grade cotton and medical grade masks, that are in sterile packs that they're buying. So it's not like we're shorting our healthcare workers. But on that note, I would say try to support them in any way that you can. But it's crazy. I mean, I think everyone, turns the fear factor up to 11 or 12. And like I said earlier, the deaths have been mostly elderly folks that have been fallen victim to this thing. And the epicenter, where they passed was Evergreen Hospital, but is like a mile or two away from there, whatever, I think it's called the Life Care Center. It's like an elderly care facility. So it's not like, Harborview and at UW and Evergreen and all these places are just running out of space. But what I also found interesting about the statement from the governor when they declared the state of emergency was that they had bought, in addition to the modular housing they're doing for the homeless that they're going to like build in South Downtown, they pulled funding from the city and bought a hotel. They didn't rent one. They didn't borrow one. They fucking bought a hotel for the extremely sick patients that their intent is to move the most critical out of ICUs and into a quarantined area. And they didn't mention how much it costs, where it's at, what the protocol is to get in there. And there's just all this crazy, I don't want to feed into the hype. There's just a lot of craziness going on. But I for one, am certainly have to be risk averse in this. Like this, if I do get sick, that could be it, be punching the goddamn ticket. So I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying to just be honest with you guys and let you know I'm going to be home for a little bit. I'll try and put some content out, but I'll definitely keep you guys posted. Deb says, bought a good face mask last month and it hasn't shipped. Things are backed up. I imagine they would be probably for some time. I know just regular Amazon orders for me. I bought a new wind guard muff thing for my helmet microphone, and it took an extra 3 or 4 days. Like DHL is backed up, UPS is backed up, and it's mostly because the service people that are in the field that handle all these packages all the time are probably getting sick or staying home. And I think for folks that work in a union, like automatically they're like, nope, like we're gonna dip out until things get better. And to be honest, even if the economy suffers a little bit, I think that's okay. I think it's okay if human beings aren't losing their lives in order to keep things on time. But in your case, Deb, I hope at least they bring you your face mask, because Debbie should remain healthy, all the Debbies. So I hope you get your mask and they don't withhold it for too long, because it's no good. But like another thing is that when when people are at work and you hear them just like coughing up a lung, and you like look over and you're like, dude, just go home. If you can, go home, like take care of yourself. Try and, sterilize the stuff that you touch, keep your hands clean. But it's crazy. This coronavirus stuff is pretty crazy. And you hear about this stuff, and this goes for everybody. You hear about this shit, somewhere else in the world, and it's like, man, that sucks. And you donate to the Red Cross, or you do your part, but it doesn't quite like hit home until it hits home. Well, this is in my backyard, and it's not like condensing or restricting international flights. It's folks on the metro, folks on the light rail, in the train, people hopping in and out of Ubers. Like what they're pretty clear on now, that there are 4 teams that have flown into Seattle that are from the CDC. What's clear is that the virus has been spreading and quiet for several weeks. So some could argue that, if I'm going to get sick, or anyone else is going to get sick with this, the damage was already done long before they could react to it. My thoughts are, why fucking risk additional exposure? Especially for guys like me that already struggle with immune problems. It's just not happening. And my work has been very generous. They've been very gracious with all of us that are like, hey, take care of your family, go home. We understand. This is a really tough time. We're here for you if you need it. But even if they weren't, or they tried to give me some shit for this, I mean, honestly, the response would be, it's not really worth my life. You know what I mean? As much as I enjoy my job and love the people that I work with and stuff. So, my message, I guess, is I'm doing okay. But I'm staying home, and I've been in contact with at least 2 people that have been in these hotspots that have had indirect or direct contact with the coronavirus. And it's got me nervous enough to fucking hang back, you know? Held for review. Oh, behave. Shouldn't give anyone shit. I agree. But some places have been. And that's another thing that's kind of coming out in the news, is that some businesses are punishing the weakness of people that are trying to care for themselves and not be around large crowds, or this, you know, this virus, or the potential to be around this virus. And I think it's horseshit. I think it's really fucked up, to be honest. So know that it's a pretty thick state of unrest around town right now. You know, it's not full chaos in the streets, but, you know, store shelves look like shit. Stuff's been knocked over. A couple places have been like looted pretty good. I received a photograph, pull it up on my phone because I can't really share it on YouTube Live, of Costco. And Costco put up a note. They had printed a page and put out a note, said, "We're currently sold out of the following items: all brands of toilet paper, Arrowhead water, Glasow Smart Water, Glasow, all Kirkland Signature water, all paper towels, all surface wipes, Clorox disinfecting wipes, Clorox bleach, Clorox cleanup, hand sanitizer, Lysol disinfectant spray, Kraft macaroni and cheese," because you know you got to get Kraft macaroni and cheese if you're going to stay indoors for a while. That's a damn certain. All canned vegetables, cup of noodles, chicken is gone, canned chicken noodle soup is gone, baked beans gone, all 25-pound bags of rice are gone, and Spam made the list. Go Spam. I didn't know people ate that stuff, but there it is. Costco is pasting that on the door just to get people to understand, like, hey, before you come crashing through the doors for this stuff, we're all out. But the response has not been the best it can be for our society in this town. I think people are exploiting other people as a result of this stuff. Because I don't have the facts, I'm not really going to get into that, but I absolutely will cover it on this channel when some of it clears out. But I think it's terrible that what human beings are capable of doing to each other under duress or while facing fear, you know. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to drive some updates via the podcast that I started. So again, if you're interested, Pathway, the number 2 being average, because we had a really long talk about it last night, and I think a lot of things have progressed. I talked to my pod host today via text message, and he's a little worse than he was yesterday as far as sort of the surrounding fear and, you know, the elevated awareness, I guess we'll say. I won't really call it outright fear, but the elevated awareness that he has around this he has changed his opinion a little bit, as have I. And you know, my direct manager lives very close to the epicenter of this stuff on the east side. She's locked herself down. She's like, you know, it's 2 miles from where I live. I'm staying home, you know, in an area that I can kind of control. But yeah, it's crazy. It's scary. This is the most scared I've been in a while for something that I'm aware of, and that's completely out of my control, just based on, I know my own medical history. So, anyway, I'm going to keep a very, very close eye on it. And I will obviously let you guys know how I'm doing. Stay up to date on all the socials and what have you, but let me know what your guys' thoughts are. I know there's a few lurkers right now on the broadcast. Let me know that you guys are doing okay too. It's not just in Washington where this is happening. This is just where it's the worst right now. And it's kind of incredible that it's it's in my backyard. It's pretty nuts. I don't know. I hope everyone stays safe, and I hope you guys continue to care for yourselves and one another, and also, um, yeah, keep enjoying content. I hope to keep putting content up on the channel. I love doing it. And I'm also really enjoying the podcast a lot too. It gives me a different way of like articulating thoughts in a more long form conversation. YouTube, you kind of have to make everything in 10 to 20 minute bites, or do live sessions like this once in a while. Thanks, Deb. But it's not all bad. God willing, we're going to get the bike back out on the street. We just had a service done, and I'm excited to have the weather dry out a little bit. We're going to be doing some car related content coming up, which is exciting. Just all of my orders are backed up too, just like yours, Deb. What up, Pruner? So we do plan on doing some fun things for the channel for this summer. And obviously my brother is moving to the other side of the country. So I'm going to try and spend some time. Media also doesn't talk about how many people have recovered. That's true. Brother's moving to fucking South Carolina, and it's going to be really tough because I love having him around. But it's a good point. Since you brought it up, I'm going to take a look. Prunzi, he's moving in June, so he's about to move. Let's see. Deb, how are things in your state? I don't know if you broadcast where you live or not, but how are things in your state? Are people panicking? Are they, is everyone mostly like blasé about it? Let me know. Coronavirus. So I know, I don't know where I read this, but I know that there were 2 folks that they've kind of released back into the wild. I think they came off the cruise ships, the Princess Diamond something or other cruise ship, if memory serves. And I don't even know what's going on in Wuhan, China, in that province, And I'm pretty sure that's where all the early reports said that this stuff was coming out. Oh, I got some stuff to catch up on. You had me at cars. Yeah, that's right. No, that's an old pic of bruh when she was bringing death with a different head of hair back then. I like that picture though. I mean, my believe because this is owned by Google, they throw Google imagery in there. So Bayonetwork is a standalone channel from my my real name, but that one has a photograph of me from like I think 2008 or 9 as well. My hair's like hella long, and I was still playing music, so I look like a very emo kid. It's pretty hilarious to kind of take a look at Bayonetwork back in time. Let's see here. Yeah, Deb, these are all pretty old. That's what sucks, is a lot of this information is encroaching on almost 2 weeks old. So it's very difficult to tell, but like I know the Washington State Health Department is going to continue to update folks. So with the 27 cases that we have, obviously, if we have no more fatalities beyond the 9 that have been reported, and I have a feeling that we're going to have a few more. I have unconfirmed reports that there was another few because my friend works in that hospital. But let's say 9 is 9 and then the 27 are not reported as dead, then at least we know we have a good survivor count from that. But those are only the confirmed cases. That's the shitty part. That's what's got most of us staying at home and kind of scared, is that this is what's reported, which means we're weeks behind schedule. They continue to fly CDC teams into Seattle. And like we literally have no idea because we don't have enough test kits for everybody, so that there's going to be some level of prioritization that goes on, at least some that I'm not aware of at this time. And past that, it's going to be kind of case by case, I think, through the ERs and stuff, if people just start getting sick. But past that, in terms of like inoculating yourself. You know, I was watching some reports. I think it was like CNN or CNBC or something this morning. It was on the ticker behind me at work. And they were openly talking about like the fastest we could repurpose existing flu medication off, like, you know, the shots and stuff that are in circulation. The fastest we could repurpose those by adding new, you know, whatever this strain is, the COVID-19 coronavirus strain, whatever they've determined beats that in lab trials, then they could essentially, what they're saying or suggesting is go back and get all the stuff that's off the shelf right now, repurpose it with this new strain combatant, and then put that out. And the earliest we could probably make that either commercially available or widespread available would be something on the order of October. And it's the 3rd of March. So like, that's not helping anybody. You know what I mean? And when Big Pharma gets in there, I brought this up last night too, when Big Pharma gets in there, they're so risk averse at trialing and testing new medications. They usually only back stuff post clinical trial. What that means to me is that while there are plenty of underfunded startups in the biopharmaceutical realm, none of the big boys are fucking working on any of this stuff. They're just not. It means that they continue to move through whatever it is that they're moving through. And because they're risk averse, typically because of the shareholders, it means they're not actively working on as much as they could be, because, you know, there's a ton of small startup bio firms that are trying to get money for active trials, trying to raise rounds of funding for this type of research. And what it means is that, you know, when they accept funding from somebody, they lose the vision, they get greedy and chase the money, or they lose control of their own company. That's how it works. And then it becomes, you know, rather than a healthcare issue, it becomes a financial issue. It becomes, what can these pharmaceutical companies bring to the bottom line? And that's just the harsh reality of modern American business in this healthcare system. That's just how it goes. So it scares me to realize, you know, when you start to think through that digression, like, oh, that also means that no one's fucking working on this stuff. At least not everyone that could be. I'm way behind on notes. I did tell you in Montreal, I think. That was right after you beat me in go-karts. Need a rematch. Canadian people on the cruise ship got 150 sent to our city. The flight crew that was held was released. Flight crew or ship crew. Jesus, dude. The custodians are doubling down on cleaning. And yeah, dude, you have to, though. You absolutely have to. I have like a slow leak in this chair where it sinks a lot. Sorry. I'm like, one of the technology teams in the business I work for, it's like, how do I put this? It's like a Genius bar, kind of, where you can like bring technology that's given you problems and they will put their hands on it and fix it, you know, or get you a replacement kind of thing. And they're taking those kind of measurements too. And their manager like kind of put a flag in the ground and was like, I don't want my people getting sick. Like, so if they have to help people and you think it's shocking that they're wearing gloves and shit, I don't give a fuck. And I'm like 100%, you know, told all my teams, like, you guys got to go home. You know, at the end of the day, there will be plenty of work to do in our job. You know, you can come back and it's still going to fucking be there. You can retire and the work will still be there. Like, that's how it goes, you know? So I hope they are, Deb. I hope they're seriously fucking working on stuff, taking it real serious. I know my glasses, bro. I know. Earlier feeling 1800 number. I'm scared for you. Yeah, man. It's fucking thick out here for sure. Oh no. Bro woke up with a sore throat. That is one of those things where you're like, is this placebo or am I, you know, do I have this coronavirus? What did I do? You know, what's going on here? It's hard. I'm sure it's really hard on them too, because it overworks their bedside manner where they're like, you know, more likely than not, you're okay. But since technically you and I both know as human beings, I did not test you for this strain of virus. It's an educated guess. But you have every right to be concerned. How are you feeling now? Was that today that happened? I think you did beat me in go-karts, bro. I think you beat me in the second one because I had a. Oh no, it was tied up, huh? Because you had a spin out in round 1 and I spun out in round 2. There were no banana peels involved, but there should have been. Yeah. See, that's the other thing, Debbie, too, is mold, huh? Will you keep me posted though? Yeah, and it's back. I mean, like it's springtime, right? There's a lot of stuff going on. Do you normally have allergies and stuff? Or what? Because I know the mold in my place builds up wicked fucking bad in the spring, and then again, kind of like late summer when things get muggy enough before the temperature drops real hard in the fall. It usually doesn't get too bad in Seattle as far as muggy conditions, but still. But yeah, if you normally have allergies, that could be probably a real mind fuck, I would imagine, being like, what is this? Am I coming down with something or is it something else? Yes, pruner the glasses. They said 20/20 vision in both eyes, save for I can't focus in my right eye. So whatever he gave me he's like, it's basically, I think it's like a point or -2.5 or something, -0.25 in the right eye, something like that. And it's like a 1 and a 1. So I only have to wear them if I can't see very well. Like if I'm doing target practice, for example, it helps a lot. I learned, or if it's late at night and it's raining and shit like that, or if it's he's like, or if you're in a dark movie theater or something like that, it might help. But he's like, you can see just fine otherwise. So they're not required. I was like, oh, great. But I'm trying to get my head used to them because every time I put them on, my fucking head starts hurting, or I'll walk into something on accident, like, brr. So it's kind of trippy. I have never had an eye appointment. I've never had glasses. I've always had awesome vision. I just can't see colors very well. So I asked you the questions. They said it sounds like allergies. You haven't traveled or are not coughing. Yeah, I know it's like a respiratory eater, this particular strain of virus, but it doesn't mean it should be ignored either. So please keep me posted. I gotta make sure bro's all okay. You can't fall apart. We need more of your painting streams too, by the way. Those are so much fun. So if you wear them, you no longer shoot like count. That's true. I know. I miss that guy too. I was chatting with him the other day on the interwebs, and he said he's doing good with life and times. He's getting it figured out. He's just been super busy with work and everything else. I can relate. So, but yeah, if you're wondering, because you'd asked about my brother moving. That's why we're finishing this arm finally. It's been years and years. So we started this whole giant piece that goes all the way around. And then on the backside of my arm from here to here, I've asked him to do like a complete custom piece to kind of tie in this other bird from here to here. So it's really amazing. It's turning out exactly how I wanted it to. And he's just a fucking awesome guy. So I'm really excited to finally get this done. But the older you get, the harder it is to sit through tattoo work. So I miss Count too a lot. You know what's weird, you guys, is because I met both of you through Count Chocula on Twitch, is I rewatched his Christmas stream when we all got together and sent him that box of goodies with the Twitch wrapping paper on it. And I was like legit kind of like choking up a little bit at home, like, oh, I miss all the guys. Like, and it didn't help that I missed PAX this year too. I was hella bummed about that because of the snowfall and, you know, planes not flying and shit. So it was a bummer deal. But the good news is at some point in the next few months, obviously, you know, viral concerns permitting with what's going on now, since travel is very, very red pen, especially corporate travel for me. So anyway, I have to go down to your neck of the woods, Debbie, pretty soon. So it'll either be, we'll talk about it. It'll either be in April or it'll be like right at the tippy top of May, one or the other. Cause I have to go see some of my family down there because they're all coming up for my cousin's wedding here in Seattle in July. And literally the day after their wedding is when I start my motorcycle trip this year. So it's going to be pandemonium. But boy, I hope that doesn't get postponed. Or if it does, then hopefully you get to go when the weather's a little warmer for the same price. Here's what I do know. Like, some of the airlines are not, they're like not charging people for canceled flights right now, especially out of Seattle. They're just like, we get it. You're not flying. There's no way. So they're not charging people for that. And there's like full refunds going on, which is probably punishing the airline industry, but it's the right thing to do, I think. Yeah, hopefully you get a refund if you don't get to go. That would suck. Still take the time though. Hey, you know what you could do with time? Just stay with me on this one. I'm washing my hands right now just thinking about it. You could take a motorcycle safety foundation training course. You'll have some time on your hands, right? You could go look at a Honda Monkey. Just saying. You could take that monkey on a Baja adventure, maybe. I don't know. Something like that. No, but if you get to go to Scotland, that would be fucking amazing. I hope you get to go. That would be the sauce. Plus, like, I want to see all the pictures when you go. You know what you should do, Pruner? You should also get a motorcycle. What do you think? I'll tell you this much. If you guys take the motorcycle class, I will take it with you. How about that? That's right. Everyone gets a bike. No, I was telling my buddy, because I was trying to talk him into it. I was like, hey, look, either you take the course and you love it and you start motorcycling, or you don't and you're like, hey, this wasn't for me, but bucket list, I kicked it. I'm now licensed to operate this type of machine, and that was cool because it's the most fun way to like fuck off $100 on the weekend. You know what I mean? So I was like, yeah, if you do it, dude, I'll take the class again. It doesn't matter. I've taken the class like, I think twice officially with my other friends. I was like, you don't have to go do it alone, dude. I'll go do it with you. I already have a license, but I don't give a shit. I'll pay and take the class again. You learn great foundational skills that are always worth revisiting, So yeah, you guys should get bikes. Just saying. We could moto adventure together. It would be amazing. But yeah, things are scary here in Seattle. Things are really scary. A lot of people don't know how to take this information. They don't know how to act with it. A lot of people don't know what to do. And our local government is not really being the beacon of light to help us. They're saying a lot of really good things. But Pruner, you shared a Twitter thread where somebody had called the hotline. And I even plugged the hotline on the podcast. It was like, hey, if you're sick or you think you're sick, get help. Like, try and get this thing, taken care of. And, this person's like on hold, bounced around, oh, you're not, you know, you're not one of the priority people, blah, blah, blah. It's crazy. And I hope it gets better. But I don't know. I want to keep you guys posted on what's up, at least for me. I'm locking it down. I'm staying home. I hope I remain healthy and well. I hope that the people that I was around that have been in contact with this virus are also healthy and safe and don't get sick. And I'll let you know if I start to feel like shit. I'm going to seek medical attention right away and hope for the best. So that's it. I wanted to bring you guys up to speed. It's pretty fucking real out here right now. So anywho, that's it. If things turn, I'll let you know. I'll try and put up some content this week because I'll have a little bit of time now that I'm at home in the home office, and I will keep you guys posted on social media as well. I appreciate you guys stopping by and saying hello. I don't ever get to see you enough. And I don't do live streams as much. I probably should, but person positive in Vancouver in Valentine's Day. Jesus, dude. That was like on the order of a month ago. Yikes. Yeah, I will, Debbie, for sure. And same, Prinzy, I will absolutely let you guys know. And thank you for stopping by. Mucho love. Deuces, friends.